Good morning, everyone. How are you all doing?
Good,
Good.
good.
Zowie.
Very good, Zoe. Look.
Drinking a beer? What time is
Yeah,
it?
come on. Good
It's like
morning.
10:15 in the morning on Saturday, I guess.
What time is
That's
it in France?
It's five
I
o'clock
don't know.
somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Hi, Zoe. We're getting
France?
ready for the beach party at the French Club.
Okay, so that's what you and mom are up to today. Max, what are you doing today?
I got my last game of my regular season
Okay,
as in college, so it's my senior night.
senior night.
Yeah.
Sounds like maybe you'll have more than one person come attend that evening, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, hopefully, but what's happening? They have their party, obviously, and my game got delayed. It got pushed back from 2:30 to 5, so there's gonna be a little room there where they're not really gonna be able to watch probably.
Oh, that happens. Xavier, how are you doing
Mhm.
with your broken leg?
Good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Tell us, Xavier, tell them the story about what you're doing now in the bar.
What bar?
Downstairs.
So I'm shooting pucks and stick handling, so I'm getting used to
What? How?
it. I'm standing on one leg.
Oh, wow. You're gonna have very good balance.
That's what I told them.
One leg's
I'm
gonna be
that
a
one
lot
leg.
stronger than the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. When
That's
he jumps
okay.
on the ice, he's gonna skate one leg.
Yeah.
Remember that kid that used to skate with one
Oh
leg?
yeah, was that the? Yeah, was
Connor
it?
Estes.
Yeah, it was. His mom was so worried about it. That's so funny. And
I
now
didn't
Connor is a great skater.
I didn't think that was actually a tactic that people used, but
Uh,
well,
Well, he was like 6, Zoe. So
okay.
yeah.
Well, I'm really looking forward to the podcast here today. We're gonna try something, I mean, I guess a little bit different. But I'm looking forward to telling everybody about my trip to New Zealand. I was actually inspired to go to New Zealand in part due to my parents' advice. Mom, do you want to tell them about what that was like?
Sure, you were going to do a trip and you were actually focusing on Australia at the time. And given that Dad and I spent a month a long time ago in Fiji, New Zealand, Australia, we really said to you, based on what we know you like to do, which was, hiking and outdoorsy type stuff. And even Dad and I both, we loved New Zealand so much more, even though the whole trip was organized so that I could go to Australia. So we kind of directed you, gave you our opinion at least in that direction.
Yeah, and this was what in 1995 is what you let me know.
Yeah.
So if I went in
It's almost 30
2023,
years later.
that's yeah, just about 30 years. Um, yeah, it was quite literally an incredible trip. And I'm really excited to share some photos actually from that trip. Let's see, make sure that it works here. Can you all see that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sweet. Let me just make sure that I can see you too, because it's a little bit confusing for me not to be able to. That's still good for everyone?
yeah.
Mhm.
Awesome. New Zealand really is an incredible place. There's so much biodiversity in that area. I'm going to show you some photos, and it'll be good for listeners too, as I talk through the kind of like differences that I noticed between my parents and I's trip and all of the similarities too. So it was quite incredible to land in New Zealand and be immersed in a completely different ecosystem. You've got ferns quite literally as tall as trees, towering up above you. I do not remember the name of the ferns, but it was really incredible. And Johnny and I, we did a lot of hiking. We hiked about 150 miles on our trip, and as yeah, we've got
Not because you
bridges.
wanted to, though.
Uh, no, we did want to hike that much.
No, but
We actually,
all right.
It was the
what was
biking.
What were you gonna say, Max?
I think
I was just saying because weren't you supposed to do like a shorter hike one day, and then you ended up doing a much longer one?
That was biking.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah. I knew I was going to be doing a lot of hiking. We did 3 separate trips of about 50 miles each. And I'll show you like some of the. Are you all familiar with the term type 2 fun?
no.
No,
Nope.
You don't know it either, Max? None of you
no,
know?
I
Wow.
haven't heard that
So
phrase.
type type 2 fun is those moments where let's say you're hiking along and it's just downpouring on you the whole time and you're like,
Yeah.
I am actually miserable. I'm miserable right now. And at the end, you're like, that was awesome experience though. But it was actually terrible as it was happening. And we definitely had more than one moment like that. But it's clear that my parents were able to experience a beautiful version of New Zealand with rolling hills. Did you all stay in hotels during your time?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well, Johnny and I stayed in a tent the majority of our stay in New Zealand. I didn't count like how many different times we stayed in a tent, but um, it was a lot. Not just when we were hiking, but we would get to town, we'd find a campground instead of staying in a hotel. There were some hostels that we really loved, but one thing that was across the board, we both saw a lot of sheep on our trip. um, and I
Is this my
think that
or yours?
this is your picture, so
I think you're on the horse, Lynn.
Not yet.
maybe. Yeah, I did got some pictures of horses too, but I know that I probably might have bought in some wool clothing for a few of you.
Hmm.
Yeah.
At least Max, do you wear the shirt?
Yeah, it's
It-
in my dresser right now.
Have you worn it at least once?
I have not worn it at least once.
Okay.
I've been
I
wearing
wore
I've been wearing the t-shirt, Zoe, the whole time.
really.
I love it.
My parents would probably say that I go thrifting a lot, and it's pretty cool to go thrifting when you're in a different country and you like buy your presents for Christmas when you're there. But um, as mentioned, my parents had a really nice, lavish trip where they're stopping at all the main points. And Johnny and I had a really incredible trip too, but we're hiking to these destinations out in the backcountry. This photo of us here, you can kind of see along the horizon. We were pretty close to the ocean, but we hadn't seen any views the entire trip. And that was some of the type 2 fun. My parents out visiting different cities and such, and Johnny and I, traversing on bike.
Xavier has something to say.
Yeah, Xavier.
So while we're talking about New Zealand, I have something. It's
Oh, wow.
like it's from you guys. It's like
Yeah.
to
That's a
hold
holder.
pencils and stuff.
Do you
And
have
it's pretty.
do you have the
what?
eraser too?
Yeah, it's right here.
That's cool.
You can wave. We got Johnny.
Hey,
who's in-
Johnny.
Oh, look, there I am.
Okay.
Cheers.
We got an alcoholic in the
Are
family.
you kissing?
Say
Are
hi.
they kissing? I think they're
Say hello,
kissing right
Johnny.
now. What's going on?
What do you think of the trip?
What trip?
Looks amazing.
Yeah.
I wish I was you guys.
Well, Max will do it.
Yeah,
these
we'll
days.
see.
Well,
Yeah.
you'll see. There's some moments you won't wish that you were us. So
No, it was all great.
it was all
It was
great.
all
Type
great.
2 fun.
I had to teach them what type 2 fun meant. So all right. Have a great
keep
day,
going.
Johnny.
Right.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool to see that
Yep.
Johnny and I actually used almost every single method of transportation on our trip.
Did
So
you use a wagon?
we did not use a wagon.
Did you use a horse?
Xavier,
That's what I'm getting
Beautiful.
to. Let me say what we did use, and I'll say the one thing I feel like we missed out on. So we biked, we took a ferry, so we went like multiple ferries actually. We flew in planes because they're actually really inexpensive in New Zealand to like fly back and forth, and it's much quicker. We took a train. Um, we hitchhiked, so we used other people's cars. We rented a car at one point, but really only for a few days. Um, and we did a lot of travel by foot. So that's like a lot of different methods of transportation.
Mm.
As Xavier just pointed out, we did not get to go on horse. It
Ah,
looks like my parents did go on horse though. So, um,
That-
did you enjoy being able to experience the countryside that way?
yes. So
Yeah.
much fun. And the thing is, we're in the, if Lynn remembers, we're climbing a mountain. We're like, the trail was like, I would say like 4 feet wide, was very, even not 4 feet, it's like 3 feet wide. And the horse will follow the trail and you just look to your left or right side and it's like, there's not much space there. You just go down, you know what I'm saying?
Well, the thing
But
is,
Yeah.
the horse knows that it doesn't want to fall either. So
exactly, exactly. That's how I go down.
yeah.
But there was so much fun. I think my mom, mom fell before in Canada
What?
and she fell from a horse in Canada. So she was concerned, but she did it, and she was a good trooper, and it was so much fun. And
Oh, how did you fall from a horse? You just fell off.
but the
no,
horse,
of course, that was being finicky, and he knew that I was probably uncomfortable, so he had control of me. I did not have control of him, and he was hungry, and we were next to a ditch. But the issue with the ditch is that the grass was grown over like this, so you couldn't see the hole. And my horse kept approaching and approaching to eat to the point where he fell in the ditch with me.
yeah,
Did you? Oh, were you under the horse or?
No, I was on the horse, but I was able to. I didn't get injured, and they pulled the horse
Oh,
out and got control of him. And then because we were doing a randonnée in Quebec, I was very
you got.
far from. So the only way to get out was to get back on the horse and go.
she did.
Wow.
She was amazing.
But
Well,
just to say, me and horses are not really friends.
well, me and bikes are not best friends. Um, but I would say we're friends. Like me and Johnny, like this summer, like right now, we're actually planning a bike packing trip here in Montana, about 120 miles, but we are going to do it over 3 days.
Oh, that's
So
fun.
it's bike packing is very similar to backpacking in the
Yeah.
sense that you are biking with all of your gear, like your tent, your
Mhm.
food, your cooking, like maybe a sleeping bag. But I had never done that before. And here I am in New Zealand doing a 90-mile trip, like basically accidentally. It was beautiful. Like,
It
don't
looks
get
gorgeous.
me wrong. It
But the
was
ride was.
incredible.
But you're right. How long do you supposed to do on the bike, Zoe?
Well, we didn't really know
Okay.
because we had arrived to New Zealand maybe a day or two before. And this
Yeah.
is one thing that we hadn't necessarily set in stone beforehand. We were like, our itinerary was basically planned. I mean, I sent it to you guys
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
because we had to like pull backpacking permits. We kind of needed to know what we were gonna do. Um, um, we sorry, I just got a text though. Um, we didn't know what we were going to do in these 2 to 3 days, let's say, because we will have just arrived. So we asked for a recommendation, and it was longer than we expected, and
Mhm.
that's what I'll say. Um, but we really loved our hiking. That was not longer than we expected to, and it was pretty cool because the people that we met along these trails and such, we kind of started on the same day and we're staying at each site at the same time each night. So we really got to know the people that were also hiking the trail with us. from a woman who is living up in Banff in the summers and New Zealand in the winters, to a gentleman who ended up giving us a ride. And he's lived in New Zealand for like 30 years probably. He's originally from Concord, Massachusetts. So it was pretty cool to see. And this hiking trail in particular, the Heafy track, had just reopened for the first time in like 5 years because of a bridge that had needed to be constructed. So, Xavier.
When you said Concord, Massachusetts, I learned something from school that's where like a Revolutionary War almost happened there.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But it was pretty cool to see that like my parents had really great moments and really great times. I don't know anything about this photo, but I do know a little bit about moments that Johnny and I spent. That you can kind of tell if you are like looking based on YouTube. You can tell there looks to be a little bit differences between my parents, who seem to be very well dressed. And,
Yeah.
but I do
A
have to
bunch of
say, Johnny.
schmoes.
Yeah, Johnny and I like our
Be quiet,
outfits
man.
are actually probably more expensive than yours.
Yeah.
With inflation, definitely.
but also with like wearing tech gear, outdoor gear,
Mhm.
it's certainly going to be pretty different.
Hey,
It was really, yeah.
looks like New Zealand would be a place that I would love to hike because, though we do some of that with you in Montana I have to worry about big animals. I don't think you had any of New Zealand, did you?
No, there's no large predators in New Zealand. But there's a lot of invasive species, mostly rodents, like rats. There's rats like all over the place. They actually have rat boxes because they're trying, like rat traps, because they're trying to catch all of them. What is it called? The kiwi, like an endemic bird to New Zealand. Rats eat their
Yep.
eggs.
Oh,
And me and Johnny I did see rats as I was hiking. And
Oh, you
I'm
did?
not like, rodents are something I'm not a fan of. I'd prefer to see a large mammal. Like
Yep.
rats are just, in my opinion, kind of gross. Like
I agree.
um I'm getting behind, like mice. I don't like them in my home, but I'm okay with seeing them outside. You know,
Did you see
rat.
any kiwi?
I did not see any kiwi, but we heard kiwi.
Oh, you
What do
did?
they sound like?
I'll try. Oh, oh.
Oh,
Yeah, good job, Zoe.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. What was, I think, even cooler, looking back on my parents' trip. Sorry, my mom just left for a moment. Looking back on my parents' trip, they were going, I'm assuming this was out in Queenstown, that they were on this little track. Pretty cool to see myself on that same track
Oh,
just
yeah, it
30
is.
years later.
no way.
Oh my God, I didn't know you guys did that.
Yeah, we didn't do too much what I would say touristy stuff, but we got my parents going up to the viewpoint. I think it was called the Skyline,
Yep.
overlooking Queenstown. And then we don't have a picture of me and Johnny up there. There were so many people, but I did take a photo out at that same location.
Zoe, you see that island there? The island, not the first one, the back one. Yeah, that's a golf course.
Really,
That's why I play golf.
that's pretty cool.
I went there, and all of a sudden I see the golf course. I said, "Oh my!" I saw it from my hotel. I went to my tour guide. I said, "Listen, dude, tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. we're playing golf." So we went, me, Jim, and Mark. Mark is the tour guide, and we played
Nice.
18 holes. We didn't have golf club, nothing, and everything was in meters. It was not in yards. That's so funny. So you don't know. And at the time, we didn't have cell phones to check, nothing.
Mhm.
So we just played and we had a blast. There was nobody at the golf course because we
I
started
mean,
so early. So it was
that's
fun.
something Johnny and I kept running into as well. For our bike packing trip, it's in
Yeah.
kilometers. So that's why like it would have been very easy to know otherwise, with hiking too, but we were able to easily convert that, like, especially after doing that much hiking, you definitely figure it out. Max, I was just showing a photo,
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
mom out on this track, and then I ended up being on the same track 30
that's
years
funny.
later. It was a ton of fun. Johnny would tell you this story. I guess I can, but there were two frat bros out on the track, and it's pretty cool. You go fast.
Hmm.
You go really fast. And they were going fast, but I was going faster. So I like left them I passed both of them. Like left, what is it, Fast and Furious, like
Yeah.
hugging the corners a little bit. They were shocked. Johnny was like, you should have seen their faces. They were like, who is this lady
The
passing
speed
us?
demon.
Exactly. And nearing the end of Johnny and I's trip, we were able to go to Milford Sound, and it was absolutely incredible. This photo is actually one that my parents took back in
Mm.
95, and I clearly was in the
Oh
same
my
spot
God.
like
It's pretty
30
much the
years
same thing.
later. Yeah, it's pretty
Wow.
cool to see how, and me coming from Glacier, I also look at this and I see that it's a magnificently glacially carved landscape, because you've got a beautiful U-shaped
Big
valley
valley,
that you can
yeah.
see, a glacier was in, and anything that's really exposed and a little bit like more rocky, like maybe the tops of that mountain, was not covered by the glacier, but a rounded over area would be much more, that would be covered by the glacier because it had a lot of pressure and compacted down.
Yeah.
Um, Anyone have any questions up to this point?
No, I do like the way you're doing it. It's awesome. Like the pictures, that's so funny. You got two pictures, one from us and one from you guys, and it's the same place. It's so cool.
If I can
How
add that, my pictures are not digital, so I had to scan them all in before this presentation.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
do. Yeah,
Zoe,
let me please. Yes, Xavier.
how long did you spend in New Zealand?
That's a really great question. Thanks. I spent one whole month in New Zealand, so that's the difference between my trip and my parents. They chose Australia, New Zealand, Fiji Islands in 1 month. I did only New Zealand for the month. It was very incredible. Um, and it looks like we did see a lot of the same stuff, though we did see a lot of different things as well. I don't know if this was out at Arthur's Pass
I
area.
believe the boat at
Yeah.
Milford Sound.
Yeah, that was
Well,
near the Lynn. That
Oh
was
no,
near the tunnel.
Dan looks
No, the
like Pablo Escobar.
tunnel.
He looks
so
so suave, dude. What happened?
I look good, man. Look at
That's what I'm
that.
saying. What happened to you?
Um, that's so mean. I'm so hot.
yeah, that's not Milford Sound because I was wearing pink, so this is a different day.
I think that this photo is taken out at Arthur's Pass. You go on a train through a really long
Look at the
tunnel. I
glacier
don't know if,
behind.
yeah, it looked like there's a glacier. Johnny and I also were able to enjoy that experience, if that's exactly where you were. I'm not too sure, but it looks like you were able to get a little bit more up and close and personal
Yeah.
with, you got some waterfalls and some snow. Actually, there was another picture of Dad like standing on the snow. And it
Yeah.
like reminds me of the people up at Logan Pass in Glacier
Oh
who
yeah.
just look, no offense, absolutely ridiculous. I always laugh, but it's okay.
You're making fun of
Everybody is there, maybe.
him?
Everybody's there to enjoy the natural world in their own way.
Yeah.
And we were also able to see lots of waterfalls, but for
That's
us, they
beautiful.
were,
That looks
It
like
is
a
beautiful.
taken photo.
Yeah, look
What'd
at
you
that.
say?
Oh, that picture is phenomenal.
It looks
Yeah,
perfect.
for our listeners, I'm just out in what I consider the jungle. It's not really jungle, but it's quite adjacent and a beautiful small waterfall coming down. But we did see massive waterfalls too. Um, and I
Wow.
don't, you can't really tell. It was absolutely downpouring that day, all day. Our like 10, I think it was a 10-mile hike, downpoured the whole time. We did
Uh,
it and we probably went up in elevation about 2,000 feet. And we did it in like under 4 hours. That's like maybe the fastest I've hiked in a long time. Because I
Wow.
Dang.
mean, you don't want to stop and eat something when you're just getting soaked, even in the trees where you think, oh, well, maybe I won't get soaked as much. There you are, like absolutely drenched. Like it's almost worse in the trees because then the rain is stopping on the leaves and then also falling from there. The bigger
Was
raindrops.
Zoe,
when it
did you
was
say? Go ahead, Xavier.
when it was raining, was it super humid or was it like like just raining?
It was pretty hot too. So we were, you can tell we were wearing rain gear head to toe. Like, first off, our feet are so, like, your feet just get wet, and that's fine. We were able to dry out our shoes, but underneath our rain gear, it's not that we were wet necessarily from the rain. We were sweating so much. Like, we, like, just fully in sweat. And we're seeing this waterfall and me and Johnny are both like, this, it's incredible. Like, this is probably one of the largest waterfalls we saw on our
You should
trip.
have hopped out and got into the water since you're sweating.
Well, I could have, but then I would have just
I bet
been
you that's
even more
illegal.
wet.
I bet you that's
Yeah,
illegal.
for people who are seeing this photo as well, um, you can, I mean, we got like my hiking strap pull, like bottom corner, my fingers like in the shot too. I mean, I'm like survival mode going over this not I wasn't afraid of the heights of a bridge that I was crossing, but I just like I didn't want my phone to get wrecked and not be able to contact my parents. um
Yeah.
Otherwise that would not have been good.
But
But
that day you were hiking, did you see any other hikers that day when it's pouring rain?
Well, we did not see one other person until we got to the hut, until we got
Okay.
to where we were staying. And Johnny and I camped like the whole time except on this one trip because based on the permits, you are not allowed to camp on the trail.
Okay.
So it's much more expensive to get a night in a hut, which is like a large building with other people. And honestly, if I'm allowed to swear, those people were assholes. That like I don't well, we get there, we're drenched, and people don't even move any of their stuff for us to dry ours. We are continuing hiking the next day along the trail they just basically finished because we had just started. And instead, they leave all their stuff all over. Like they are hiking out. We're continuing for 2 more days. Like common courtesy is, hey, you've been sitting here for 2 hours with your stuff by the fire. It's probably dry. You see these people walk in who are absolutely like type 2 fun, absolutely drenched, like maybe losing their shit because it could have been terrible. Um, you move your stuff, but they didn't. And me and Johnny were just like we were so ready to get out of there. There was people on a guided hike, so
Okay.
all of their stuff was being carried by guides. So they were just like walking, and they are just looking at us like we're crazy. But also because we were about to hike like 20 miles the next day, we only 10% of people hike that trail the way we did, like the direction we did.
Oh
So we were
wow.
already like, you know,
against the odds.
Yeah, not necessarily. I mean, we did it, like, and we were proud to say we did, you know, especially with those people being like, what are they doing? Well, we're skilled. We know what we're doing. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I
you
believe
guys
you
didn't
went.
bring your charcuterie board. You know what I mean? Like,
No, but really, people were making 3-course meals.
like I'm not
And me and
shocked.
Johnny, but I'm telling you, we ate so well. Like compared to, like, let's say we had the guided people who had everything carried eating 3-course meals. Then we had the other end of the spectrum of like people who are probably not backpacking very regularly all the time. And then there's me and Johnny who like have our systems honed in and bring fresh vegetables when we're backpacking and like are chopping up veggies in the hut, and people are like, what are they like, are they experts? Like why are they not eating this freeze-dried backpacking meal that is really high in sodium? Me and Johnny have like a little spice container with us that has 6 different kinds of spices so we can like make fresh meals even while we're hiking. It's pretty cool.
Did it
Max, do
taste
you want to
good?
pause?
Zoe,
Yeah,
was the food good?
the food that we made was absolutely delicious. Does anyone want to know what kind of meals we were actually
Yeah,
making?
what'd you have? What'd you have?
Did you have
So,
like burgers?
What's
what
in?
did you say?
Have burgers?
We didn't make burgers while we were hiking. Johnny can't eat meat.
No, like vegetarian ones. Or
No,
whatever.
Let her go, Xavier. Let her go. Let her go.
so what we did was we went to this store called Pack and Save, which I actually almost put a picture of Pack and Save in here because I'm like obsessed with their store. It's what I would say it's very similar to Costco, but everything's in bulk. Like you go in, you can have a little plastic bag with you, and you like measure out a certain amount of couscous, which is kind of like pasta, but like they're little tiny beads.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you get like a pound of couscous and you measure it out yourself, and then you like put your price on it. And Johnny and I just kind of went wild in that store. So the main things, what I would say is our bases were, we'd have couscous, we had lentils, which I didn't like the lentils. Um, and then we would buy like soup packets and soup mixes. And then we would take like, let's say couscous and add it to a type of soup mix, and then add a bunch of fresh vegetables into that. And then it's like a delicious meal. Like you're eating like fresh red pepper. We also had a lot of tortillas. So
I I
our
love to.
lunches were like peanut butter and jelly, but you can't
I have
always.
What did you have for breakfast? Because I would think you would have like oatmeal, because that would be so simple to make.
We did have a lot of oatmeal for breakfast. You are right.
That's
Because
And what
good.
it's like a pack of oatmeal, and you put it in a cup, and then you pour hot water, and then you stir it, and then you have oatmeal to eat.
Yeah, what you have to consider is me and Johnny, on days that we knew were not very long, that's what we did, because you have to think in the morning, we're like taking our tent down, we're repacking it. We're also, if we're having oatmeal, we have to like boil water and like
Yeah,
sit there. I mean, it doesn't take too long, but like sitting there for the water to boil. But on days that we're hiking like 20 miles, we just have like protein bars
and
and
like snacks. Yeah,
snacks, and like we had to do that quite a bit of the time. But on at the same time, we didn't have to. It was really good. Johnny and I, by the end of our trip, we really had it together. And towards the end of our trip is when we decided to go to Milford Sound. Um, it was really cool to see that my parents were quite literally, seemingly on the same type of cruise as that we had taken, but very different boat. If
Dude,
you
Dan
wanted
looks
to
so
ask.
funny. Look how windy it is. His hair's like all pushed back.
Oh, Mindy.
It looks it. You can see it.
There's a video of mommy, Max. There's a video of mommy,
Uh-huh.
her hair all in the air.
I'm not shocked,
All
dude.
up. I'm not kidding.
It was really like it's a spectacular place, and Johnny and I know a lot of people. I don't know if I mean Dad knows a lot of people too, but since we have worked seasonally, what's very common in seasonal jobs is like somebody, maybe they work in Glacier National Park for a few summers and then they're like, oh, okay, I'm kind of done with that. Let me go work in Alaska for a few years. And we also knew somebody who went and worked in New Zealand at Milford Sound. So
Wow.
if so, you may have had to pay for adult prices, but we were able to get like 50% off for
Holy
all
cow.
me and my friends. You can see, I mean, if you're looking, you got this picture of me in the middle, and my friend Kaylee is over on the side. We actually
Okay.
had two friends out in from Whitefish who were in New Zealand. They are not the friends who got the discount. Our other friend got our discount for us. So it was pretty cool to see, especially, my parents taking the beautiful, nice shot in front of the waterfall. And then we got Johnny
Johnny.
doing the same exact place, and he's like letting the waterfall
He's
feed
the
into his
same.
mouth. But
Oh,
you can
that was
tell, like,
funny. He's chugging
Just a little
the
difference in the trip.
waterfall.
Because how old were you guys? Mom, you were like, what, 24?
We're the same age as Zowie.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You guys are really
Yeah.
young. It's a little difference in maturity levels there, it looks like.
Wow.
we also have to
Max,
think, like,
Max, are you saying we're not cool enough?
No, I'm saying mom and dad are a little bit more put together than Zoe and
Well,
Johnny were in their
Zoe,
trip.
show all the
No
pictures.
crap.
Zoe. You have to show the one with the wine bottle. He might think differently.
I know I had it in the slideshow, but I had a lot of photos,
Didn't
but
make
I
the
could
cut.
go
Don't
ahead and
forget,
pop
we
it
didn't
in.
have digital cameras, so we could not create a shot like that. Otherwise, we might have.
Well, yeah, what I will point out is my parents were on this, like, it wasn't, would you say it was kind of like guided, like
Yeah, we're the
like
tour.
somebody you went on like through a tour company to do it?
Correct.
But you have to
Correct,
think
Zoe.
about it, like back in 95, like do you have technology to the point where you can personally like plan
No.
out a trip abroad for an entire month, reserving campsites and like
No.
doing all of that yourself?
Impossible.
Like, so me and Johnny, like, I feel like we were able to create the experience of a lifetime for us
Yeah,
because we were able to do all of the research on our own beforehand.
totally.
Which, my parents also had a really great time. It was just a really different experience, me hiking on beaches and getting
That's
attacked by sandflies, also having
Oh,
a
yeah.
great it was a great time. It was wonderful. You think of New Zealand in November. That it's funny because my parents went in November and I did too. Just based on work, that's when it worked out best for me. Um, you think, we wanted to go somewhere that was nice and beautiful and sunny and warm. I mean, if you're on the beach, you're thinking maybe I'll have the opportunity to put a bathing suit on and get a tan. But that it's not that type of it was not that kind of trip, if anyone's wondering.
It was spring over there, Zoe, at the time.
It was spring, and then towards the end, it was like getting into summer.
Yeah.
I will note that like you probably carried like suitcases with you and
Yep.
stuff. Um, everything you see, all I had on me was one hiking backpack. That's what I had the whole month. So, I'm buying my mom's Christmas gift of it's small, but I'm buying her Christmas gift of a small kiwi Christmas ornament, and I'm carrying that for 150 miles. So it's no, and like all of the travel I do afterwards. So I had one pair of pants with me that like I would wear. I had a pair of long johns, like smart wool pants. The shirt I wore like one shirt basically the whole time. It's a little bit of a different experience than you guys, who I can tell had more than
Correct.
one outfit with you.
Us were us were at the hard right. Zoe, when we went to Australia, we went to the Grand. What was the name of that place? Then
To the upper house.
yeah, the Opera House. We went there and we had suit on. I had a suit on pretty much, and mommy
Yeah.
was wearing a nice. She was all dressed up, so we needed that clothes for to go out. So you guys, you roughed it. You know,
I mean, we needed very different gear. Very,
Exactly.
very different gear.
Look at Johnny.
We also, at the end of our trip, ended up on the beach in the sand, so we had all that.
Right.
Yeah.
Can
and
I
then
tell
you-
you something?
Yeah,
A
Xavier.
fact that in Australia there is bull sharks in the lakes and
Oh
rivers.
wow.
So
I was
Oh, really?
we went
Yeah, in the
we went-
ocean.
we went scuba diving in the ocean, Xavier, at the Great Barrier Reef, which was like a bucket list item for me. It was amazing. And you know what they do?
What?
They put out food for the sharks to keep them
No.
away from the area where the people are scuba diving.
Oh, that's smart.
But
But
you're in
on
the
our
middle of
way
the
out, remember on our way out of the water, we encountered one of those big,
scorpion, like a scorpion fish.
it's something that was poisonous, right?
A
Yeah, it was.
lionfish?
I thought it was
Oh.
like the puffer one.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
pufferfish.
I could be mistaken, but it was a fish that we had to stay away from, so we had to kind of go around them.
Was it a
Yeah, the
lion?
Great Pardon me?
I'll look it up. I think I took a picture of it.
Yeah, the reef over there. That's funny. You're in the middle of the ocean, and you see the water just like hitting something. Remember that?
Yeah.
That was crazy. So go ahead,
Well,
Zoe.
Not to circle back, but
Brings back to
Yeah,
New-
sorry.
Johnny and I had I mean, if you're looking at this picture, it's Johnny crossing what looks like just a bunch of dirt. No, it's mud that goes to your knee.
Ah,
Like
Wow.
like my mom made a comment at one point. I feel like I showed her pictures of my first backpacking trip in New Zealand, the Heafy track. She's like, "Wow, I need to go hiking in New Zealand. The trails look so well maintained." And I then on this track here, downpouring whole time. In New Zealand, the ground is so fertile, it's so wet, so sometimes they get slips.
Does it
Meaning,
just
what do you say,
does the-
Xavier?
does the groundwater just not go underneath?
Well,
Does it just
it's just so much water in the ground.
yeah,
So
and then it
sometimes
just most of the
sometimes
water
it-
just stays out.
yeah, but not on this area. In this area, the mud underneath must have had so much water in it that the ground just it's kind of like an avalanche, where it just kind
Okay,
of
yeah, I
Like-
got you, Zoe.
It just
the whole
collapsed.
it slid downhill, like
A
the
mudslide.
ground, a mudslide.
Yeah.
So Johnny and I are going through we're the first people on the
Mm.
trail that day, going through mudslides. Of course, we get all the way through, and on the side that we arrive to, there's we find a wooden plank that we could put across, but you had to get through it fully in order to do that. So,
Yep.
pretty interesting. Though we did end up getting to
Ah.
see some pretty cool stuff.
That's fun.
Yeah. Johnny's got a sweater on actually that we did buy in New Zealand because they have a ton of wool. So I was able to buy a hefty amount of stuff, but that was towards the end of our trip because we didn't want to carry it the whole
Mhm.
time.
will
We ended up,
buy
we
New
got our,
Zealand.
what did you say?
I still have my wool sweater that I bought in New Zealand.
Yeah. Well, if you don't wear it, I'd certainly take it. 'Cause I'll get it in April when I see you. But
Yeah.
we ended up buying what is it called? A suitcase to bring back some things.
Okay.
Okay.
And we also were able to go caving, which is really cool. We went in probably
you
3
see any-
different caves.
Did you see any cool rocks or
I saw
geodes?
really cool stuff. Yes.
What did you see?
what is it called? Not a
Crystal.
stromatolite, but those things that come from the ceiling
Oh
where all
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
water.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know you're
it's
talking
like
about
kind of
Zowie.
crystallized. I'll show
Yeah,
you a
yeah.
different picture, Xavier, where you can really see it. But all in all, it really was quite an incredible trip. From all the different people that we met, from all the different food that we ate, because there's a ton of fresh fish there. Um, it was really incredible time, and I would recommend to anyone to go to New Zealand, and I 110% intend on going back in my lifetime because it's incredible. So yeah.
That's awesome.
This doesn't relate to New Zealand, but not many people know me and Mom are going to Europe this summer.
Nice. Are you excited?
Yeah, we're going to Paris to see the Eiffel Tower.
No,
That's
Xavier.
awesome.
No, it's not.
Let's go
You're
for
wrong.
hockey, right?
Huh?
For hockey, right?
No, he's not doing so. No,
No.
got
Okay.
invited to go Slovenia, or he's not going.
Okay.
But mommy, well, I don't want to talk too long about that but Xavier, me and you are going to go to Paris with Max.
What? I'm going 2 trips, man. You're not cutting me out.
Alrighty. Well, thanks everyone for listening in. I had a really nice time talking about New Zealand, and I hope that some people had a nice time hearing about it as well. Tune in next week. I hope you enjoyed listening. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you,
thank you,
guys.
Zoe. Great job, and
Great job,
very,
Zoe.
you can say informative, and I mean, so I
Yeah.
hope people enjoy what you did, and you did a great job, and it was so much fun listening to you and everybody add on Max did some talk and Xavier, and so thank you guys, so much fun.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Love you, Max. We'll see you later.
Yes, sir.